Good morning, great Americans. It's another great American video from the bunker. This is a quick video. There's some predictions in this video. There's a little bit of hoping and praying in this video. There's some news in this video, but I'm going to make this quick because my prediction could be wrong, but I hope and pray it is right. This would this would make, I mean, I already think that Donald Trump is the greatest president in modern history, but if he manages to pull this off, then he will definitely be the greatest president in all history. So we just saw an amazing, brilliant takedown of the communist dictator in Venezuela while we slept. It only took a few hours. We didn't lose one American life, and we toppled a drug-running narco terrorist communist dictator. I mean, that alone is just astounding and a miraculous and amazing. And God bless the American military, amazing people. Now, let's consider something else. There is unrest in Iran. Yes, the very Iran that Trump recently bombed out their nuclear facilities, and the same Iran that has been the center of terrorism for what, 50 years, 40, 45 years? And the same, they are the number one state sponsor of terrorism, and they have been for quite a long time on the State Department list. I mean, if Maduro deserves to go, which he did, then Iran needs to go, has needed to go for these many decades. Iran should have been wiped out. Now, I have said many times in the past that the worst thing the United States has ever done, the worst foreign policy error the United States has ever committed, was in 1979 when the Iranians took over our embassy and they had their revolution and they took our embassy people hostages for over a year. That was the time when we should have nipped it in the bud. We should have wiped out Iran, and we would have avoided 45 years of Iranian state-sponsored terrorism. Imagine the loss of life and the carnage and the destruction that has resulted for 45 years, all because a Democrat, Jimmy Carter, did absolutely nothing to give those Iranians what they deserve. I mean, that is a blunder of unconceivable. It's almost the same as the blunder of not nipping Hitler in the bud, right? I mean, we could have nipped Hitler like in 1938 and avoided World War II. And we could have nipped Iran in 79 and avoided 45 years of terrorism. And I don't even know how many lost lives as a result of that terrorism. Not only their own terrorism and airplane hijackings, but also their sponsoring of terrorism through other groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, and the wars up in Lebanon and everything else. So, what am I talking about here? Well, I didn't really think much about Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, being at Mar-a-Lago of all places for the New Year's Eve bash. I mean, you would think New Year's Eve, right? I mean, I would think that most leaders would be at home or in their capital and celebrating with their own country. But Netanyahu was at Mar-a-Lago. But I didn't really think much about it, but I'm starting to read some of these tweets on X that are coming out of Iran, and I'm starting to wonder, because several things have happened in rapid succession. Netanyahu was in Mar-a-Lago instead of being in Jerusalem for New Year's Eve. The Iranians are uprising. They are uprising right now. Just like they did when Obama was president, and then Obama ignored them and he sided with the terrorists. Of course, we won't go into that for now. The Iranians once again have found the courage and the will to rise up against the terrorist Iranian regimes. Uh, and there's some interesting exercises and military ops and movement of resources in that area right now. And number four, Trump recently gave Iran an ultimatum, which was if you mess around with the protesters, uh, you're gonna we're gonna bitch slap you, basically. Now, considering the recent events of Trump, he warned Iran once they did not heed his warning, and he bombed out their nuke facilities. Of course, and of course, great credit goes to Israel because they were bombing the hell. They sort of paved the way, right? So they did us a great. They made it easy on us to go in because Israel had been bombing Iran for a couple of weeks before we went in. But anyway, we went in and did that, and then now Trump had warned Maduro, and Maduro ignored his warnings, and Trump took care of Maduro. Now Trump is warning Iran, don't mess with the protesters or else we're coming after you. I think something is afoot. So something is afoot. Now, I could be wrong. That's why I'm not going to make this video go too long. But I'm going to say this, as I said just a minute ago, and I'm going to repeat it again. The biggest blunder in American history was allowing the Iranian regime to survive after 1979. It has resulted in uncounted deaths in terrorist attacks. And in the Gulf War with George W. Bush, I have always felt that this was another missed opportunity. We went into Afghanistan, and if you recall, at the time when we went into Afghanistan, it was an excellent operation. We toppled the Afghan regime in just a couple of weeks using mostly their own freedom fighters. So we had Afghanistan on the right side of Iran. Then we took out Iraq on the left side of Iran, and we could have very easily taken out Iran as a pincer movement from the right and the left side, both coming together in the middle. That's another lost opportunity. But the most important thing is that let's put it this way, if any country has ever deserved to be wiped out by the United States, I mean, ever since Ronald Reagan, the days of Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter, if any nation has ever deserved to truly be wiped out because of all its years and years of terrorism, terror, war, and whatnot, it's Iran. So, for all the crybabies and the whiners out there about oil, I have a comment about that too before I wrap up. If Trump manages, if this is actually in the cards and it's not just my imagination, could be my imagination, but if this is in the cards and Trump is waiting, has got his fingers crossed, hoping that Iran does something stupid so he can take him out, he will be the greatest president in history because Iran should have got wiped out years ago. So let's watch and see what happens. And on a closing note, on a separate closing note, I want to say something. I am so sick and tired of these namby-pamby, pusillanimous, little punk-ass left-wing people talking about oil. It's always oil. We went into Iraq. We went into Iraq and there's no war for oil. And now we went into Venezuela for one night, just one night. And they're already crying about oil. Let me remind you assholes about something very simply. Oil and the gasoline that comes from oil is the lifeblood of the United States of America. Just as blood flows through the human body and brings it the oxygen and the nutrients that it needs, oil and the gasoline that comes from oil is the lifeblood of the United States. Everything you eat and drink and medicine, and when you get in your car, everything you do, everything you have is because of oil. I mean, I could sit here for an hour and make a list. I mean, gasoline goes in the tank of the car you drive that takes your kids to school, that takes you to work. In fact, oil and the trucks and the machinery that it runs builds the roads that you drive on. Oil and gasoline brings food to market, and oil and gasoline powers the tractors that grow that food. Oil and gasoline powers your emergency response vehicles. I mean, can I just keep going? It flies the airplanes. It keeps the cars running. It keeps airplanes running. It keeps the military vehicles running. Emergency response vehicles. I mean, oil and gasoline powers all the trucks and tractors that build everything, build buildings, build houses, build roads, build the infrastructure. Do you understand that oil and its gasoline is the very blood of America? You're goddamn right we're going to fight for it. We should fight for it. We have the obligation to fight for it. What the fuck is wrong with you? We have now, the United States is a good nation, and what we will not do, even though we could, but what we will not do is invade and conquer nations and take over nations and annex nations with oil. We're not going to do that. Believe me, there's countries in this world that if they had our military power, that's exactly what they would do. But we're not going to do that. But we will certainly use our military power every time to ensure that the free trade of oil on the open markets remains free, and that the sea lanes on the oceans remain free of piracy, so that oil tankers and everything else, there's lots of goods and stuff go via ship, a cargo ship, that the trade lanes remain free on the high seas, and that oil and gas is freely traded on the free market without anybody trying to grab it and use it as a bargaining chip. That is our lifeblood, and you are goddamn straight that we will use our military to make sure it stays free every time. And every American president has the obligation to do it. They are obliged to do it, because if they don't, that's the end of America. I mean, that's just the way it is. So that's just a side note about oil. Anyway, keep an eye out on what's happening in Iran. I suggest that if you're not on X, that you get on X and see and do a search for like Trump and Iran, and see the tweets that are coming out of Iran, and then bear in mind, like I said, that Netanyahu was just here under the guise of the New Year's Eve. But think about it. I didn't even think about it until just now. Who spends New Year's Eve in another country? I mean, if you're a world leader, right? I'm going to spend my New Year's Eve in another country at another president's house. I mean, is it kind of? I didn't think about it till just now. So keep an eye out, and let's hope and pray that the Iranians get taken out, because they, by God, have deserved it for 45 years. Well, I hope it was a quick, great American video. Please like and share my videos, plus my previous video about Venezuela, and subscribe for free to our Substack page. And I will see you in the next great American video. Adios, muchachos.